We ask for no interruptions as applicants give their full presentation. After the presentation, the zoning committee will have a chance to ask questions, and then after that, the committee, after the committee's questions are complete, we would open up to the community. When addressed for questions, we ask that you state your name and address. Please keep your questions succinct and in regards to the variance that's being discussed. We ask that you try not to repeat others' questions. If you agree with someone, you are welcome to raise your hand and simply state that you agree. And we ask for a spokesperson for the neighbors to speak on behalf of the entire group when applicable. After we hear from all of the applicants and listen to the community comments, our committee meets in a closed session and we vote on each item. We vote in 3 ways: oppose, not oppose, and not oppose with provisos. CCRA never votes in favor of any application. Then our decision is emailed to the councilperson, the ZBA, and the applicant. It's also posted on the CCRA website. One important matter to note is that no matter how we decide, if you're concerned with a specific project, please attend the ZBA hearing. This is the best way to make sure that your concerns are known. The CCRA zoning committee cannot express every neighbor's point of view. Only a property owner or an aggrieved individual may express their personal concerns to the ZBA. So that is why we encourage your attendance to that hearing. And with that said, we have 3 cases today. And also one more thing to keep in mind is that there is a difference between a refusal and a referral. A refusal, the burden is on the applicant to demonstrate why the community should accept the zoning change. And a referral, the burden is on the community as to why not to accept the zoning change. And we have a mix of both tonight. The first of which is 1706 to 1708 Walnut Street, which is CMX5. And this is an application for the erection of a semi-detached and detached structures for the use as takeout and sit-down restaurant. And it is for, and that is what we want to discuss today. And this is one, a referral for the proposed use of a takeout restaurant, and then also a refusal because of lot frontage and side yard width. But with that said, I would like to introduce the applicant to go ahead and please get started with the presentation.
Thank you. I am Michael Mattioni. I'm the attorney for the applicant, which is 13 Howard 11 LLC, and the principal is Avram Hornick, who I believe is on with us tonight as well. And Howard 13 Howard 11 is a tenant at 1706 and 1708 to 1710 Walnut Street, where it operates the Walnut Garden, one of several entities operated by FCM Hospitality, Avram's company. Prior to opening Walnut Garden, the properties were vacant lots, result of a fire that destroyed structures on the 3 lots in 2020. We're seeking both special exceptions and variances to be able to continue to operate Walnut Garden. And in support, we presented and have on the screen photographs, the refusals and referrals, zoning site plans, the appeals, a unity of use agreement that's for 1708 and 10 Walnut, so that they're considered as one property. 1706, the neighboring property, has some different ownership, so it's not applicable, can't have a unity of use agreement. We have the temporary use agreement with the city, a letter from Center City Residents Association dated August 30th, where they took a non-opposition position to the temporary use agreement, the lease agreement, our notices, deeds, and other matters. Again, 13 Howard 11 is the operator of the Walnut Garden, and Avram is a successful operator of many restaurants and entertainment venues in Philadelphia, including nearby establishments Rosie's Tacos, Harper's Garden, Noche, Concourse Bar, and the soon-to-open new operation at 1720 Chestnut Street, which CCRA had no opposition to, and then we received the special exception necessary from the zoning board. Walnut Garden began operating in May and entered into a temporary use agreement with the city, permitting it to operate so long as the covenants in the temporary use agreement were met. And that was on September 1st, we signed that agreement. Walnut Garden has transformed the site into a family-friendly cocktail garden with sizzling and vibrant energy. It operates 7 days a week, opening at 4 p.m. Monday to Thursday and noon on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The kitchen closes at 10 p.m. and the entire garden closes at midnight. Walnut Garden has upcycled discarded items such as shipping containers, wooden pallets, broken glass into magnificent works of art, creating a truly unique and stylish atmosphere. In addition, Walnut Garden added a wide array of fresh plants and trees, creating an inviting and innovative garden experience. The sit-down and takeout restaurant uses, are permitted as special exceptions under the supplemental use controls. And in addition, because this is a CMX 5 zoning class and it contemplates you'd have a building on these sites, it makes it impossible to have the garden restaurant without variances. And I just want to go through some photos. This is what it looks like if you're standing on Walnut Street across the street. Again, a closer shot of the entrance. From the back, a better shot showing the interior. Again, the garden area with the trees and other plants. The interior of the canopy tent. Again, another photo showing what the site looks like. Some holiday decorations. And a children's play area as well. The garden is an inviting space with food and drinks, a large tent, and a children's area. It's an attractive reuse of these lots until the economy changes and the lots may be redeveloped. And the site plan shows, just real quick, for 1706, we have a refusal and a referral. The takeout restaurant that's proposed requires special exception. Sit-down restaurant requires a special exception. Because we do not have a building on Walnut Street for at least 65% of the lot frontage, we get a refusal. They want to have active uses on Walnut Street. So because this is an open air garden, we don't have a building. So we get a refusal. And we also get a refusal for a side yard, which I will explain again in a minute. And the same thing is true for 1708 to 10, the 65%. The fence is 6 feet tall, and a 4 foot tall fence is what's permitted, but they really need a 6 foot tall fence for security and privacy and those kind of things. And again, the restaurant use is a special exception. So this is the site plan for 1706. You come in off of Walnut Street, you have the children's play area, you have food and beverage containers, and then you have the restroom trailer in the back. The restaurant itself, and I want to move down to, 1708 to 10. Again, you have the garden area much larger. It's a double lot. And you have the tent. Use this time of year or in inclement weather. And the gardens, as you saw from the photographs, are nicely done. And again, the city agreed to permit Walnut Garden to operate while seeking zoning permits once Walnut Garden showed that it had compliance with all health and safety requirements and all electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and related permits. And CCRA, again, did not oppose this temporary use. The restaurant will have disposable cutlery and utensils because it's an outdoor seating area. It won't have music played outside of Walnut Garden. The music will not be audible outside of Walnut Garden. They'll have incidental takeout, no more than 10% of sales. They will have all deliveries from the back on Chancellor Street. Trash will be stored in dumpsters. I want to go back and you can see where the trash is stored inside. To the photos. here's the back, as you can see Chancellor Street. And if you come down just inside the back, you see the dumpsters are inside the site off the street and not seen from the street. Trash will be picked up on Chancellor Street after 8 a.m. Monday to Friday and after 9 a.m. on the weekends by a private trash company. Deliveries will be made off of Chancellor Street after 8 a.m. Monday to Friday and after 9 a.m. on weekends. The restaurant will be responsible alcohol management program certified by the PLCB. And again, we're requesting special exception for the restaurant use. And the ZBA must approve the special exception if they determine that we meet the criteria in section 143037 of the zoning code. We believe that we meet this under section 143037E1. It's a restaurant, it's permitted by a special exception. And Avram has a long history of successful restaurant operations, and the uses will be a dining and a bar and a garden gathering area. We believe that the remaining requirements for the special exception are also met. The operations aren't going to cause congestion in public streets. This is a one-story use on a CMX5 property that could have a multi-story building on it. So we're going to have much less congestion than you could have from a multi-story structure. Won't overcrowd the land. We have a wide open, largely unoccupied parcel. And again, in the CMX5 district, we won't impair light and air to neighboring properties because we're not doing any real construction. We just have a tent and some trailers. We don't burden public facilities. We're utilizing an otherwise vacant lot. We're actually helping because making the likelihood of crime and other blight that comes with vacant properties less likely. We're not going to injure neighboring properties. They'll benefit by having eyes and ears on the street and having this use on this otherwise vacant property. And it doesn't endanger public health. It benefits public health by having a job-creating establishment in the neighborhood and bringing an active use to this otherwise vacant lot. And again, the operation of the restaurant is consistent with the mixed-use zoning and master plan. So we believe that the restaurant will not detrimentally impact the neighborhood beyond that which would normally be expected from this type of restaurant. So therefore, we believe we meet the requirements for the special exceptions. With respect to the variances, again, it's an open air garden, and the requirement is that we have 65% frontage of buildings on Walnut Street. With the open air garden, we're not going to have that. The fence does not count as a building meeting the 65% requirement. So by the nature of the use on the open vacant lot, we have to get a variance. Again, we've got a refusal for not having a 6 foot, for having a 6 foot high fence when only a 4 foot high fence is required. As you can see, the fence is really necessary to protect the investment that's been made here. And on 1706, we got a refusal for not meeting the side yard requirements. But when you come back where we have the restroom trailer and the handicap access ramp, and you have a lot that's 23 feet wide, you end up having more than 15 feet taken up by the restroom trailer. So it's impossible to have this in the middle so it's accessible by everybody and still meet the side yard requirements. You just can't do it. There's not enough room to have the required handicap restroom and meet the side yard requirements. So that's why they're requesting that variance. So those are the variances. We believe that all of the variances requested are due solely to the unique nature of the premises and its physical characteristics. And in order for Walnut Garden to be able to operate and make this active use, we believe that these variances should also be granted in addition to the special exceptions. So that's our presentation, and I know Avram is here as well. So thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That was very thorough and explained the various matters at hand. Is there anybody from the committee that would like to that has any questions? If so, please raise your hand. Ben, please go ahead.
Are the exterior walls of those adjoining buildings going to remain as is? I know it's not part of the zoning issue, but I'm curious about it.
As far as I know, they are. Avram is also on, so he might have further information.
On the lower level, we kind of kept the graffiti just because it's kind of fun. You know, the whole point of the Walnut Garden is to be part of the city. So, but the upper levels, I believe the neighboring properties control those. And I do believe there is a violation for one of them because they didn't do an adequate job for the covering the brick. So I believe that landlord, that ownership is in the process of parching the upper floors or is working on a permitting for that. But for the lower part where you can see, we're keeping the graffiti just because we like it.
All right. I have a few other questions. As I understand it, the trash is deposited in those dumpsters on the rear of the lot near Chancellor Street until it's picked up and removed.
Yes, sir.
And is there a commercial licensed trash hauler that does that?
Yes, Waste Management.
Okay. And how about not picking up trash before 7 a.m. or before 8 a.m. on weekends? These are some conditions that CCRA normally has for restaurants.
Yes, we agree to that.
I did speak to them, yes. My presentation, I did say we would meet those requirements.
Okay. And you said there'd be no amplified music that will be audible outside the premises?
Yes.
Is there any music there now?
Yes.
Oh, well, that works because I walk by there. I never hear it. There's a couple other things that are not that important. What do you have takeout? You will have takeout food?
We do not.
Do not. Okay. Okay. Thank you. No other questions.
Go ahead. I saw that Bob Lane had his hand raised.
Okay, and Sylvie does also. I'll
Yes,
be
I see
brief
that.
though. Is there anything about this application, Michael, or Avram, that would make this not temporary?
We have a 5-year lease on the property. The landlord
No, I'm
has a
talking about
right.
legally. I'm talking about zoning. So we supported a temporary use because this is terrific. It's much better than having an empty weeded lot like it was. But as you pointed out in your presentation, this zoning and this block should have a building there. It should not be open like that in perpetuity. So are you asking for anything that would allow this to stay more than the temporary variance that we approved or supported rather some time ago?
We did not ask for any kind of a time limit proviso on the application. We have a lease that limits our time, and I do know that the owner has told me repeatedly that they hope to develop this property sooner rather than later, but beyond that, we don't have any insight as to what the owner's
Okay,
plans are.
we have no control over what the owner and the tenant does.
Correct. We're just
You're
the tenant.
asking for permanent zoning relief, though, as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's an interim use. So these type of things, like, you know, it's an interim use until a higher, better use of the property occurs. But you know, again, we have a temporary use, but the way the zoning works, you know, if we're there for 3 years, that'll be great. If we're there for 5 years, that'll be great. But like, eventually the landlord will develop the property and build a larger building there.
Thank you.
Just because our rent, you know, we don't pay enough rent to essentially justify the amount of money they pay for the property. So it's an interim use.
Understood. Okay, Sylvie, please go ahead.
Yes, good evening. I would like to know if you had some discussions with the neighbors.
We posted, we gave notice to the neighbors. We haven't, you know, we've been visited by most of the neighbors when we opened up, and we've gotten nothing but support from pretty much everyone in the neighborhood. And people appreciate the fact that, you know, previously vacant lot has a, you know, a garden restaurant on it. So we've been in contact with all the neighbors and got nothing but positive support for it.
Thank you. And another question, if possible, what is going to happen in the middle of winter when it's super cold? Are you?
We've decorated for Christmas, and we're selling Christmas trees, and we have, you know, hot apple cider rum and hot chocolate, and you know, Santa Claus and Christmas decorations, and that'll keep us open through the new year. We're going to be closed for January, February, and open up again in the beginning of April. So January, February, and March, we will be closed, but we will have, security and inspect the site to make sure that no damage occurs and, nothing bad happens there.
Thank you.
Unless you can come up with an idea of something we can do for January, February, March, and then we'll stay open. But as of now, we can
Ice skating rink, maybe.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay. Is there anybody else from the committee that would like to ask any questions? Okay, I just have one question. I mean, this is clearly already a success. What about this application is everything in this particular application just improvements to make this better and more usable as a interim restaurant?
It was agreement with the city. So it was a long and tortured process about what type of zoning was required to open up. And, if the committee will have 45 minutes, I'll be happy to go into it. But needless to say, this is just what the city came up with to legalize our current operation. We're not changing anything. Everything will be exactly the same. It just allows us to operate under the rules of the city.
Okay, that clarifies it for me. Thank you. Excellent. Well, okay, at this point, I would like to just open up questions from the community, if anybody has any questions. I don't see any raised hands. And if you do have a question, please just raise your hand. And either you can do it physically on camera or in the, all right. All right, I don't see any questions. So I think we can go ahead and move on. Thank you for such a thorough presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Having us. Let me stop the share. Okay.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
It looks like we can move on to the next agenda item, which is 1901 Chestnut Street. And I just gotta, I think that's who called me while we were in this other call. The attorney is saying that they're still waiting for their turn. And I will give him a minute to see if he wants to come to our meeting in the interim, and if not, we can go ahead and skip over to 1807 Pine Street. So let me give him 1 minute. I guess no zoning committee has ever been on time, so uncharted territory here. Let me just make sure that the other case is available. I see Sean. And I do know that there was some community that was very, okay, is the community, Martin is here, thank you. Okay, I think that as long as there's no objection from the community, we can go ahead and just switch the agenda. And go ahead with 1807.
All right, well, thank you so much. This project probably sounds familiar. We presented it 2 months ago. So I will try to go quickly. I know it's late and everyone's given up their time. Happy to answer any and all questions that arise throughout in case anyone doesn't remember it as I'm going. We presented it, like I said, at the end of September, and there was one consistent request, which was to reduce. We had proposed a rear addition at 4 stories, and there was one consistent request to reduce that to 3 stories in order to sort of take care of the adjacent neighbor who has setback windows at his property line there, and that we have done so. And I believe CCRA, those new revised plans and proviso plan form were submitted to you, so you should see those.
And thank you for that, Sean. And if you want to go ahead and share screen, I just I neglected to ask Wade to just give a brief introduction, because this, as you mentioned, Sean, we have heard this case before, a couple meetings prior, and I just wanted Wade to kind of update the community and the committee on the current status.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you. So Sean explains a lot of what had happened, but from our perspective, that we heard this case at the end of September. And the committee itself, the biggest concern that we had was regarding the height of the proposed addition in the rear. And I communicated, authorized by this committee, to Mr. Whalen, that if they were to redesign the plans and to remove the rear addition, or at least to lower the height of it, then we would reconsider the plans. We opposed the project back in September, and now this is essentially a reconsideration. As part of this reconsideration process, Mr. Whalen and his clients submitted new plans to us that did exactly what we asked for. And so they are here now to represent. As of right now, there is an opposition, so we may reconsider and change that vote. But that is something that the committee will need to decide. And I'll turn it back over.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Albert. I will share my screen now. Can you guys see kind of an aerial map?
Yep.
All right, I'm sure you're all very familiar with this, but this is the property right here at 1807 Pine Street, just off the corner at South 18th Street. This is the property right here. Again, just to remind anyone, in case anyone wasn't here at the last meeting, and again, I'll go fast, so please feel free to interrupt me if you have questions. There will be no changes to the frontage. There's no increase in height. There's no change whatsoever from Pine Street. Rather, what you'll see here, this is an existing garage off of Panama Street, and this is the pedestrian access with a one-story garage, one-story pedestrian access here, and here is the existing rear addition to the original building. This is what's being proposed to be demolished and then rebuilt. As Mr. Albert noted, it was proposed to be rebuilt as a four-story rear addition here. We have reduced that per our prior meeting with CCRA in response to the requests that you had. So again, just so you can see the condition, this is 1807. I won't speak for him. I believe the owner of 1809 is here. This is 1809 next to us. You can see their property is set back, and I'll show they have windows on this side. We also have windows here. Our proposal is to rebuild this rear addition. This will include, allow us to include an elevator and ADA accessibility for the building, which it currently does not have, and I think would be the first on the block to have. And so that's the discussion really is just this portion, and what we would be doing is building out a portion of it to our property line. However, there would be a large light well with windows, still maintaining this kind of dual setback, although no such setback is obviously required. You could build out to the property line if you wanted. So again, this is just zooming in to see, here's the two-space open air parking that 1809 has. This is the one-story garage and the existing three-story rear addition. That is actually 4 stories as you get closer to the existing main building. So again, here's just an example. These are the photos of, this would be the portion of the building that would be demolished and rebuilt. And here, sorry, kind of distorted on my photo. This is the photo of 1809. And really in the last, at the last meeting, this photo was the crux of all of the sort of the one concern that CCRA voiced. And I'm attributing that just to CCRA, not to any individual at this point. But that was the basis for the letter of opposition, because we were going to go, we had proposed to go to 4 stories along here, which we do believe would be contextual up and down the block, but we understood CCRA's position and agreed to reduce our request down to 3 stories in order to preserve some of the light and air for those setback windows. So again, what we have here, this is just the zoning plan. You can see sort of on this right side, all we did was we literally just pulled the 4 stories down to 3 stories for that rear addition. So it will no longer be built out. And this over here is the area, and I can zoom in maybe on this. So this is the existing condition at the rear of the property, which is 100% built out. You can see over here, that's the walkway, the current pedestrian access, and the 1-car garage. That's to remain. Then the 2nd story and 3rd story rear addition is being proposed to be rebuilt. As I said, there will be a new elevator and elevator access shaft and ADA accessibility added. And then we will include this large light well, which will have windows in it. And then this is 1809 on the left, and their property is set back from their property line, and that's how they have those windows there, because they are not built out to the property line. So again, just so that everyone knows and feels comfortable and confident in what we did, we actually submitted those revised plans I just showed, along with this proviso plans form, to the ZBA. So this is what they'll be reviewing at tomorrow's hearing, which is to reduce the proposed rear addition from 4 stories to 3 stories. Again, the multifamily use is what we're seeking here. That is contextual up and down the block with the number of units. And the 3-dimensional issues that are raised here, height 38 feet is allowed. We are not going up to the existing height. This is the 50 feet is the existing height of the street frontage along Pine. That will be the tallest portion of the property. We're not changing that, so that's an existing condition. The minimum rear yard depth and minimum rear yard area, we're proposing none. Those are also both existing conditions at the property, so we're not changing those conditions in any way. However, they do relate to, they do cause refusals. So with that, I know I blew through that pretty quickly, but I'm happy to answer any and all questions that you may have. And I know that, again, we're presenting this for the 2nd time, so I don't want to belabor any issues. So thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you for the good summary. And I will go ahead and see if there's anybody from the committee that has any questions. Ben Z.
Yeah, you're still proposing 8 family units for the.
Yes, we are 8 units.
Okay.
So just to be clear, because I know I went through very quickly, the only change from what we presented at the end of September to now is the reduction of that rear addition from 4 stories to 3 stories.
Got it. Okay. Is there any other questions from the committee members?
I just want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Or I don't think this was addressed, but I know this is going to be something that comes up in a few moments. Mr. Well, I know there's going to be a question about the notice postings that were put on the property regarding the upcoming ZBA hearing. Can you address that concern?
Certainly, and it's a good one. Obviously not an issue for CCRA, it's an issue for the zoning board tomorrow, but I think appropriate to be discussed here. I think there's no question, this is the front of the building, that these the postings were put at the front of the building at all times. They were covered, so they were unaffected by that big storm we just had. The rear of the building was posted and has been reposted. So it was originally posted in accordance with the rules. Just so anybody who doesn't know, since the pandemic hit, there have been no orange zoning posters. So now as you're walking around the city, if you see white papers taped up, that's actually what's required under the zoning code now. Again, just the zoning posters became impossible to get from the city, and so they changed that requirement. So again, the rear of the property has been reposted. The owner at 1809 pointed out that the storm, this is not covered the way the front door is, and so the storm had kind of washed away where they were. I will actually have, so this is posted by a third-party expediter, and she will be available. She's not available tonight, but she will be available as a witness at the hearing tomorrow if need be, to state that she personally posted the property at the same time on the front and the rear, and that she just reposted the property when she was alerted that the rear had been kind of washed away by that big storm we had.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Douglas.
Well, I understand that you're reducing the volume of the property because we asked and brought that up. But how are you keeping 8 units? There are 5 now, and we've reduced this quite a bit, but you still have 8 units?
Yeah, so we have now, we had proposed very large units. One of the 2-bedroom units will now be 2 1-bedroom units.
Okay.
So previously, and it's a good point, I should have brought it up. Previously, we had raised we had proposed, rather, not raised, all large 2-bedroom units, and now one of those 2-bedroom units will become 2 1-bedroom units.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Well, I don't see any other questions from the committee. And thank you for addressing all of our concerns from a couple months ago. I'm going to go ahead and open this up to the community. If there are any questions from the community. Okay, Martin, would you like to please state your name and address?
You.
I'm muted. Okay.
My name is Martin Rosenblum. I'm one of the owners of 1809 Pine Street. We bought the house probably 25 years ago. I raised my children on the 1700 block of Pine Street and have been a 40-year member of CCRA. I am also an architect. I have a Bachelor of Architecture. I am a licensed architect in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I have a degree from the Columbia University Historic Preservation Program. The first thing, I have many issues. I had met the owner on the street, or the buyer. He knew I was local. No one has ever come to me with any drawings or anything to discuss this. So obviously when I found out, and I don't know why I didn't find out through the letter, I found myself on that list, but I did not see it. And so when I found out yesterday and I had never been contacted, I felt quite blindsided, and I reached out to Travis, who was terrific, and we had a number of calls up and back, including with Wade, and I got some information. The first thing that no one is telling me is what the hardship is, which is the core of any zoning change. It's a unique property. I should say that the properties mid-block, particularly at that eastern end, is that 1803 Pine Street is 5 units. 1805 Pine Street is a single unit. 1807 on city records shows up as 3 units, which is what the owner bought that at. I am 7 units. The building next to me, 1811, is 3 units. So he is asking for more than I have when I bought my building 30 years ago. There's a little other history about why this property is covered so densely. When we purchased our property, 1807 had been a funeral home. And that garage was part of their facility. And they covered that side yard. In those years, I don't have to tell you, the neighborhood was the Wild West. If Mr. Whalen would be kind enough to show the picture of their rear garage, I would appreciate it.
I'm working on pulling it up.
Thank you.
Okay, while he pulls that up, I think
I-
we should just go ahead and.
Okay, so I would
continue.
like to point out, first of all, that the one-story addition in which they filled in the side yard is about the height of a garden wall. And if you look, I believe he has another picture that goes further into the courtyard,
I don't
further along that wall.
think so.
You do, that one. Can you show? Okay, yes, you can see the rear of his building. Is that structure, that one-story structure, is not even a full story high. It is low. In my courtyard, it reads like a garden wall. The back of their building, original L, and it isn't an addition, it is an original L, is the same depth as my original L. Now, the drawings, can you go to the plan you've submitted, Mr. Whalen? Okay, first of all, I do not understand. If someone could explain to me on this plan, I'm looking at the left hand of the actual plan of the building. If you can blow that up a moment, please.
And as we wait for him to do that, this is Veronica
Yes,
Aplenc. I'm
it-
co-chair.
what-
Excuse me, sir. I'm
Yes.
co-chair together with Rebecca Frisch. We just want to let everyone know that we limit questions to 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll make this quick. What are those diagonal lines showing? Is that the area scheduled to be demolished?
The cross hatching that you see here, yes.
Yes, it's not a crosshatch, it's a single hatch.
Sorry, the single hatch, not the cross hatch down here.
Yes,
Yes, that's the area to be demolished.
I see. And what is the area, go below your light well there? What is that area being demolished over there? Because there is nothing there right now. If you look at your picture, your building lines up with my building, and yet you're showing you're demolishing something there.
Yeah, sorry to jump in here. It's labeled as the new addition. It says
But
new
it's
three-story
not
rear
showing that way. And furthermore, what is not being dealt with is the fact you're saying you're making this building ADA accessible, but the front floor levels are far different from the rear floor levels. They're almost half a story off. How are you planning to reconcile that with the elevator?
Respectfully, the interior design has not been finalized yet, but it will meet all ADA accessibility requirements.
I'm asking because if the floor levels in the back are the same as the floor levels in the front, the building is going to go far higher than you are showing it in your drawing.
Well, regardless of
All
what
the
we're showing,
floor
I can
levels-
guarantee you, Mr. Rosenblum, we are only permitted to build to the height that we are proposing to build to. We are not allowed to build any higher. And so, I understand your points, but those are determinations that are going to be made by the city about whether or not we're allowed to build higher, and we are not.
I don't think they can be made until we have a full understanding of what you're doing. The rear elevation of your building, go to your rear elevation, please.
Once again, I want
Yes.
to just thank everyone for participating. Again, this is Veronica Aplenc. I'm co-chair. I've been tasked with keeping time.
Yeah.
We do want to hear all voices, and we just ask that every question be limited to 3 minutes so everyone can speak. So if would it be too much to ask for a summary? I see another hand that's raised. Thank you.
Seems that you are concerned about the height and the footprint, correct, Martin?
I also would like to say that their application that they have given us is saying for partial demolition of the rear, and it isn't an addition, it is original, and they're not doing partial addition. They are doing a full demolition of the entire rear portion of the building, only leaving the front block. This is the kind of looseness with the facts that I'm dealing with here, and why I'm so upset is I can't make an intelligent argument if I don't have decent material to work with.
Understood. Your points are well taken. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and call on Richard, please. Can you tell us your address? Richard Sisek.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I am the
Hi,
owner and
Richard.
occupant of 1811 Pine Street.
Great.
So I'm 2 doors down, and I am not opposed what's happening at all. I think it's nice to see people making this sort of capital investment in my neighborhood. But I am curious is about the construction itself. Panama Street is a difficult street always to get down, and we have a garage that we use. And I just was wondering how something like this can happen and go on for a long period of time and not, I mean, I just wonder what sort of plans Mr. Whalen and his group have for accommodating traffic on Panama and how long the construction may take.
Good question. Go ahead, Sean, please.
Okay. I don't know if it's helpful. I can answer kind of all the questions at once. Mr. Sisek, if you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer this as well as those all together, if that's easier for you, or I'm happy to do one at a time.
I think that's his question. What's the construction duration and plan for access?
Yeah, so this is also a good time to just share my screen real quickly again, because I think this addresses also Mr. Rosenblum's question. There is no looseness here of the application. The application states that it is for partial demolition of rear portion and the erection of a 4-story rear addition. This is the language required by L&I. A total demolition would mean of all of the entirety of the structure that's existing on the property. So anything less than the entire demolition and destruction of everything that's on the property is labeled by the city as a partial demolition. So yes, everything in the rear will be 100% demolished, but that's not the way the city uses that wording. So
yeah, understood.
What will happen, Mr. Sisek, is all of this demolition will actually have to be performed by hand. That's so most unfortunately, I think we all remember the horrible collapses that have taken place over the last 10, 12 years in the city. One of the results of those collapses during demolition is that any demolition such as this attached to or near adjacent residential buildings has to be performed by hand. So what will happen is an extremely limited blocking of Panama Street. We understand, and actually, the owner uses that himself. So we understand the use of that and trying not to block it. The cinder block, basically because of the depth of the property, will be able to demolish this very rear portion right away and then use that portion to continue the demolition of everything else without blocking Panama Street. And then subsequently, the property will be built from the existing and remaining portion out toward Panama Street with an intention to block it as little as possible, if at all. And I'm guessing that some of the larger aspects will actually have to be done by crane up and over the building, for instance, of any HVAC or anything like that.
Yes, and do you have a duration?
Uh, I would assume that this duration, start to finish, from the first day of demolition to completion of construction, is about 15 to 18 months.
Okay,
Well, I should say exterior, probably
Mhm.
anything that other people would see would probably be about 12 months.
okay,
And then everything else would be interior, and there would be no blockage necessary for Panama Street whatsoever based on interior work.
great.
Wow.
Okay, I think that clarifies both people's questions. Thank you.
It does. Thank you very much.
Um,
And let me just reiterate, as an owner and an occupant on this block, I am happy to see people making this sort of investment in these old structures. So,
well, good, well taken. Well taken point. I think you have some friends here. All right, Doug. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm
Your address.
address. I'm an owner at 1732 Pine Street and 1733 Pine Street. 1733 is a 6-unit building. I guess I just want to express my concern. It feels like there is communication that needs to be had with both neighbors in how this gets staged and the impact. And I struggle a little bit with a hardship case here, where if you grant this addition, effectively you're going to create a hardship to the west. And so I just wonder whether we need to take a time out here and think hard about whether we really need this additional density on that block. So I don't have a question per se, but rather just wanted to make that statement.
If I could respond quickly, I think first and foremost, communication, is necessary. The owner here actually lives at 1802 Delancey, so he is an immediate neighbor, is in this area all the time. And like I said, uses Panama Street. The question of communication, certainly, Mr. Singer is his name. He reached out, and as you even heard from Mr. Rosenblum, he spoke with Mr. Singer at the very outset when Mr. Singer purchased the property. We have, we served all the notice letters and everything as required. It's unfortunate that, this is popping up now and that Mr. Rosenblum did not get that letter. I know that they were delivered to all of the addresses within 200 feet, and we fully intend, not only with Mr. Sissick and Mr. Rosenblum, but with all parties that kind of abut Panama and anyone who may be affected, to continue to speak with and work with all of those impacted neighbors throughout this process. Right, this is not, the CCRA meeting is not the end of the communication process. Nor is it really even the beginning. It's just kind of a midpoint. The one question I would have for you, and I apologize, I don't see your last name, Doug, so I'm going to have to call you by Doug, is what did you mean by hardship to the west?
I'm talking about the shadow and the spacing and the light that will go into Marty's building. Right, is that you are going to impact the value of his property by allowing additional density here.
Thank you. Okay, I understand.
So it just seems like listen, I live in a single family on the 1700 block of Pine. It works just fine as a single family. Like, I don't think that there's a economic hardship that would require you to build up to 3 stories on the rear of this building.
No, so it's a good point. And I would say, although it feels good to say that there would be a hardship on the building, there is nothing in the code that prevents building out to the property line. And Mr. Rosenblum, or for instance, our building here, as you see it, which are both set back from the property line, are fully entitled to build to the property line.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a good point, Sean. If I don't want to do too much back and forth, but I don't know that, Doug, your point is relevant to what the ask is. I think the height and whatnot has nothing to do with the amount of dwelling units.
Yeah, so the dwelling units really, that's an excellent point. I won't belabor it. The height and build out really has nothing to do with the ask. That could happen by right. Even Mr. Rosenblum actually could submit an application by right tomorrow to knock down his wall with windows and build and push that out to our property line. We have no right to stop him. And frankly, he has no right to stop us from building to the property line, because that is the kind of row house attached type of building that we have.
So if you I think we need to wrap up this case, just that we're a little bit over already, but if you just want to go to the plan and just show what you're asking exception to specifically, so that everyone is clear, then we can go ahead and move on to the next case.
Okay, so. All right, I think you can see here, this is the plan. Again, no change to the front. This is on the left, you can see front elevation, no change on the front. On the rear elevation, we're going to keep and maintain the exact same structure that we have, or existing conditions rather, that we have at the rear. And then you can see the new addition only goes up to the existing third floor. So this portion up here to the red line, I hope you can see the red line, would be the front of this existing building. So it would not be built, nothing will be higher than the existing building.
I think you had a photo that had some red lines on it that was really informative about what you're
sorry,
asking.
this one?
Yeah.
So you know, unfortunately the image gets a little skewed when you try to do this with straight lines. But yes, so this cinder block wall is our property line, and that will be taken away. And basically what you'll see is the exact same condition that our adjacent neighbors at 1805 have. So this is essentially, we're going to mirror exactly what 1805 have, but our property is just a little bit wider. So we'll have a door and a garage door. We will have a garage door and a pedestrian access door, where 1805 only has an access door. So this is essentially exactly what you'll see, just how it's built up and attached to our property. That's what we're intending to build here.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's really helpful. And then
just this large cutout here.
Okay, and then and then you'll have a cutout to allow light into both pieces.
Yeah, so we have 135 square foot light well that's going to go from ground level all the way up to the top of the building. And we will have windows around this light well, and that will maintain most of the existing, or not most of, I guess, about 40-45% of the existing setback.
And then are you asking for exception on the amount, like what is the required setback that you're asking for relief on?
So if you were to build new construction, you are required to build with a 9-foot rear yard setback and 144 square feet of open area in the rear. We currently, right now, as an existing condition, have a 0 foot setback and no open area.
Right.
We're going to have that light well constitutes open area, so that will be 135 square feet, and we're seeking to maintain this condition. And frankly, what we could do we wouldn't even get a refusal. We could just build up on this existing platform, but we thought that it would be better for the property and all the surrounding areas to build to new construction levels and techniques, as opposed to build on what was previously there.
Great, understood. Thank you for clarifying everything. I think the whole picture is a lot clearer now for everyone. Excellent. So I don't think there's any more questions, and I already took up extra time. So I think we can go ahead and put this to a close for today for the open committee. And I'm going to see if the next applicant is available to present. Thank you so much, Sean. Excellent.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the indulgence of going much longer than I had anticipated. I apologize.
No problem. All right. We appreciate always when you respond to the community's concerns. All right, go ahead, please, Joe, for the next case. You can go ahead and take us away.
Hi, good afternoon or good evening. My name is Joseph Vicaro, attorney for Oakberry. And at this meeting, I have the representative of my client, Alexander Brandstatter. He's on the lower left area of the screen. And Oakberry is in the business of selling acai bowls and smoothies. And we are here for an application for a special exception for the intersection of 1901 Chestnut. So it's at the intersection of 19th and Chestnut. It's an approximate 700 square foot storefront that's interested in selling acai bowls and smoothies. Open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Anything else to add, Alexander, before I start sharing my screen and I could show some of the
Yeah, I just want to mention it's a health product we import from Brazil for our farms in Brazil. It's a health, the concept is health fast food. We are around in 600 places around the world. And I already have 2 stores in DC. I'm responsible for the Northeast in the US. We have in New York stores, in DC stores. And now we are planning to open the 2 stores in Philly. One will be in Walnut Street, another one in Chestnut Street for just to begin. And that's the main concept. Try to have health fast food for everybody and for a good price and generate more employees around the area.
If I may share my screen.
Yes, please go ahead.
So we have here the wall menu. Can you see that?
I can.
You can see that? Okay, so here we have the wall menu with the followed by the nutrition facts booklet showing the acai bowls and smoothies with the suggested prices, available toppings. Anything else to add on that, Alex?
Yeah, if I can share my screen a little bit, if you were interested to know, I can share the website with you guys to see how is your product. I think it'll be better before the.
Sure. Gladly. So if I could stop sharing my screen.
If you want to go quickly, that's fine.
Okay. I can stop sharing my screen and we'll give that to Alex then.
This is a pretty straightforward situation here. I think we should just get to the zoning matter, which is.
It's a special exception.
Special exception.
This is the concept.
So I think the concept is great and very welcome. And let's just go ahead and see if there's any questions from the committee regarding the use and just more adherent to the zoning at hand.
Thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody from the committee have any questions? Go ahead, Ben, please.
Will this be both eat-in and take-out food?
The intention of my client is for eat-in and takeout, even though the application, which was done before our time, is only for. Oh no, actually, my mistake. This is for eat-in and takeout, and that's what the application says.
Yeah.
Okay. And will any food container that's being used for takeout be labeled with the name and address of this place? the reason why that's in our various requirements is so if people are dropping trash, we know where it's coming from.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. All our products, you can see our label and everything.
And will your trash be internally stored until it's professionally removed?
Yes, 100%.
No
Okay.
dumpsters on the street.
And you will not need ventilation, will you? You're not doing any cooking as such, are you?
No, we don't cook enough, and just cook some fruits and that's it.
Okay, and no music, dancing, anything?
No,
Okay. All right,
not the
thank you.
idea.
All right.
I think the only other thing that we usually ask about is loading hours. Is that,
Loading hours?
yes,
And delivery.
We
delivery.
generally receive the acai buckets once time a week, and for 1 hour we can put everything inside the store. It's easy. And generally we are using the acai. We are buying at least once time a month only, because I can save money when they deliver from New York. I'm trying to save and the deliver, and we don't use a lot of space in front of the store anytime. It's not necessary. Once time a month it'll be necessary.
Okay, go ahead, Ben. Oh, you're muted, Ben. You're muted.
Where will your deliveries be coming from? What street or what entrance? When you're getting supplies and food and so forth?
It's supposed to be on 90th Street.
19th?
Yeah, 19th. I'm sorry for my English. I'm from Brazil. I'm trying to do my best.
Are there delivery parking spaces out there on 19th? I don't think so.
But look, my delivery is so small. We can use at the Chestnut Street. We can use I'm telling, we have at least 25 buckets. That's the average I use in a month.
So you'd be using a small van at most,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's not a truck. We use
It's not even a truck.
Yeah, because I have another space where I storage my stuff too in Philly, and we can drive there. It's not a big, because the store is too small. I have 400 square foot, I think, in that store. I don't have a space to store a lot of stuff and everything.
And there's a quick turnaround time.
Okay. Ben, do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank
Sylvie?
you.
Yes, thank you. Where is it exactly, please?
It's the northeast corner of Chestnut and 19th. I mean, I'm sorry, the northwest corner. My apologies.
Is it because there is an ice cream place there?
It's close by the ice cream place. Yeah, the ice cream is in the corner.
Yes.
We are on the side of the ice cream store. We are supposed to be there.
Mhm. Do you have a site plan as part of the application?
Let me share my screen.
Go ahead.
Here's a general scheme of the plan.
Great.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we included that in our notice to the near neighbors.
Great. And was there a site plan? Just so we could understand exactly the location.
No. We just have the
Okay.
we
Just
just
the
have the
address.
specs now.
Okay.
I can share the Google Maps if you want. I have
Sure.
in my screen.
All right, you
Yeah, in
can-
fact,
why
I
don't
even
you-
included that too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Here we go. If I could, am I sharing
Yeah,
this?
you're sharing, but it's still, we're just seeing the bottom of the old plan.
Hold on, let me find. You see
And
that?
yep,
So that was SNCP. It used to be SNCP, but it's empty now.
Oh, Joey, I'm sorry, Joey. No, we are supposed to be when we have the red, the cleaners, you know?
Oh, the cleaners.
The corner is already our ice cream store now.
So it's where the cleaners is.
Yeah, because the address on that corner is 1901 Chestnut Street.
So they
But
share the same address.
They share the same address. We are a little bit, yeah.
This.
The green.
Okay. So it's not the corner.
No, it's not the corner.
Okay. Great. I think that clarifies Sylvie's question. And
if you want to see a picture of how you be the store inside, I can share if you want.
sure, go ahead, share. And then I think Karen had a question while you're pulling that up.
This is in the store is in DC. This is in New York. This is, you've been in Philly, in another place. This is how it looks our store.
Okay.
Okay.
One more question, if I can. The cleaner is still open. So
I'm sorry?
the cleaner is still open. So when do you intend to?
No. Look, it's not the cleaner place. I'm sorry, people. We have the cleaner on the side. You have my window is covered with paper right now. It's locked. It's on the side of the cleaner store. Let me try to.
Yeah, I think maybe you need to just Google the address, 1901 Chestnut Street.
Yeah, so this is where a jewelry store used to be?
Yeah, correct. 100%.
Okay.
There is a site plan in our package, and it shows a purple square of the location.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
There's a site plan in the package that we received that shows a purple square of the exact location.
Okay.
It's probably in that packet that you were just flipping through. I just didn't get to it. Okay, Karen, did you have any question? You're muted.
I wanted to know about the location as well. So I think that it's net between Jenny's and the ice cream and the cleaners, I'm assuming.
Would you like me to, well, we have all this,
Yeah, it's fine. I'll go down and look. I'm a block away.
I think that everything we have is stuff that Joe sent to us, but I can pull it up quickly just to relieve any questions.
Diagonally across the intersection from the CVS there.
Yeah, sorry. It was in your application, Joe, if you want to just pull through, like, it's probably just further in your presentation.
Right, it was just further in here. Let me hit the.
If you allowed me, I have a nice picture to show.
Go ahead.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Alexander.
You can see my screen?
Yep.
It is right here.
Well, we see your screen, but it's just like your desktop. It's not any.
We see
That's a great place for a restaurant. We'll
I don't know what we are looking for because give me a second.
It's diagonally across the intersection from the CVS.
And now?
There you go.
That exactly here.
Okay.
And that's still 1901 Chestnut, even though it's all the way up on 19th Street.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Okay. And I think you even gave us already your trash location was already down the alley. And I think you answered all of our other questions. Sounds like you would be open to specific loading hours on either on Chestnut or 19th. So if there's no other questions from the committee, I think that we have what we need to make a recommendation for this case. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Is there anybody, sorry, just making sure that there's no community questions. I thought I said that, but last chance, community. All right, thank you
Thank you.
very much.